Hello Reborners, my name is Karen and this is Making Reborn Dolls with Karen. I've got some babies on the table I'm going to prep and get ready to seal, and I thought we could talk while I did that. I've got Mary awake. I've been wanting to do one of her. I've got Autumn, which I just got. I've got Ever awake. And I've got...
Did you call the furniture store?
Lucy. Yeah, earlier. No, I haven't lately.
Huh?
No, I haven't lately. Anyway, I've got their mixed up arms and legs here on the table as well. I want to tell y'all I'm super excited about the contest. I actually have participation. I've got like 5 people, and I'm just ecstatically happy. A lot of people are contacting me. They want to be in the contest. Some people have gotten their people. Some people are still working on it, but it's working. I've gained some followers, and I'm just happy. I don't know how to express it any other way. It just makes me happy. These rags I have do not look clean at all, but they are. So I wash them, but they get stained up and they don't look clean at all. They look filthy, but I did wash them, so we're going with their clean. Anyway, I've gained about 6, I think, followers. So 2 people have probably done it. They haven't let me know yet that they've done it, but maybe they haven't checked to see if the people they invited actually joined yet. But I can't give credit where credit's not due, so I'm waiting to hear who the people are and who they got and all that stuff to add them to the... I have their name written down already, but you know, to be officially in the contest, you have to get your people. Only one person has actually informed me that they got all 3 of their people, who the people were, and I checked it all out. I checked all their information out, and it was correct. And only one person's done that. But now the other people have told me they wanted to be in it and they were working on it, so I'm waiting for that. The other 3 people that I gained might be split up between those people. You know what I mean? Each person has 1, or maybe one person has 1 and one person has 2, or something like that. I switched one of these dolls has... Which one is it? Oh, it's Lucy. Lucy has 3/4 limbs. I switched her with Skya limbs I just got. I love Lucy. She's a cute sculpt, but I don't like her limbs. Her limbs are not attractive, so she will have new limbs. I'm just cleaning these dolls up with some alcohol to get all that factory dirt off of them. I find that's sufficient. I don't ever really go to the sink and wash my dolls, but hey, you should do it. I always do things that I tell other people they shouldn't do. I'm sitting up here right in front of you doing it. I'm a real good example, aren't I? Do what I say, not what I do. My mother used to say that all the time. My mother was a smoker, and she'd stand there with a cigarette hanging out of her mouth. Don't ever smoke. Of course I didn't, but you know, when you have smoking parents, they say more of your children will smoke than won't. And that was true in our family. 3 of my siblings are smokers, and me and my 1 sister do not smoke. It'll either make you want to smoke or make you where you'll never, never, never smoke. And for me, it was never, never, never. It was so disgusting to me, I couldn't even begin to want to put a cigarette in my mouth, ever, in my whole entire life. But I have 2 sisters and a brother who smoke like freight trains. That used to be a saying, smoke like a freight train. Trains, I don't think, smoke much anymore. They're not coal. But, you know, trains used to run off of coal. And that used to be a saying, smoke like a freight train. I don't know if I wash this one, I'll just do it again. It doesn't look wet, but... Anyway, I'm real happy about the giveaway. I think making that video on what's going to be in the box helped people want to participate. They probably thought the box was just junk. I don't never send out junk. But I feel bad for the people who live in other countries and I'm unable to send them anything because of tariffs and customs fees. Maybe I was thinking about next time, not this time. Instead of gathering up things, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'm just thinking out loud, really. I might give a gift card to a certain doll company and they can order their dolls, order what they want from the company. And I'm pretty sure you can send a letter to another country and it would have a gift card in it. So that could work. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I have to think it through. Before I do anything, I have to check it out and see what it's going to cost to do it. You know, there's stuff that you have to do. Anyway, I'm going to be sealing all these baby parts and putting them on my drying rack to dry because they have to dry for a while. Several hours at least. I usually like to do it overnight to make sure they're good and dry. And you're going to find that this Gemini sealer will leave a white residue on your dolls. As you're using it, you won't see it, but when you leave it to dry long enough that it's actually dry enough to really put in the oven, you're going to see it then. You're going to see that it dried kind of white. And it's okay because it'll never show on your doll at the end. And if you don't like it, you can always bake more bakes. I'll tell you what happens as you're putting on your paint. Now, if you're an air dry artist, you won't be using this sealer anyway, so you won't have to worry about it. But if you're a heat set artist, you'll find that when your doll gets ready, you're ready to put your doll in the oven, it might be white. But that's okay. Like I said, it'll never show in the end. What happens is, it's probably too much sealer on the doll in certain spots. I try to do it real even, but sometimes you just don't get it quite that even. And additional bakes could take it away, but there's no need to do it because as you're putting your paint on, it's got paint thinner in it. It's going to thin down that sealer a bit, and the additional bakes is going to bake it right out. Believe me, it's not going to make any difference. I've never had a doll that I sealed and I could see white residue and at the end it was still there. I never had that happen ever. So I'm not concerned about that. This must be August. No, this is Mary. Mary's got kind of big limbs. Is this Mary also? Yes, she's a big doll. I may put her on a bigger body. When I get a big doll like that, I want to put them on a bigger body because they just seem too big for those little bodies to me. And if they can take a bigger body and I have a bigger body, I probably will use it. I don't know that I have one. I'm just making sure these are dry. That's all I'm doing. And I don't want to start putting sealer over the top of alcohol. Alcohol flashes very quickly. I've had people ask me, what do you mean by flash? It just means it evaporates off very quick. Very quick. The only thing I know of that's quicker is acetone. That's the quickest I've ever seen. You barely get the rag off the doll and all the acetone's gone off of it. Literally. And it'll evaporate right out of your bowl. I use a glass bowl. You can also use one of those heavy-duty plastic wash tubs like people used to wash their dishes in. They're actually called a dish pan. And when you go to buy them at Walmart, they're called a dish pan. People don't use them anymore, and a lot of people don't recognize them as something that people used to wash their dishes in, but they did. People, especially that didn't have running water in their houses, would use them. But people actually put them in their sink. I guess their idea was their sink was too dirty for their dishes. I don't know what their thoughts were. But they'd put them in their sink, make up some soapy water, and wash their dishes. And then whenever, they were finished, they'd throw it out. That's where throw out the baby with the bath came from. That's a saying. Don't throw out the baby with the bath water. When they'd go dump it outside, just throw it out. Just sling it outside. Not the bin, but the water, Okay, now we're going to get started on them. I'm going to get out my sealer. Here it is. I have a big old thing full of it. I'm going to get me out one of these popsicle sticks to mix it with, and a sponge. Now, if you're using your sponge to seal a bunch of dolls like this in a row, and it starts to get too flimsy and little pieces are coming off, just throw it away and get another one. It'll start to fall apart after a while. Usually not with 4 dolls, though. I've done doll after doll after doll. I'd have a day of just sealing dolls. And I don't usually put the heads on the drying rack. I just stand them up on the table. That gives me extra pegs to put arms and legs on. And my drying rack, I cut it in half. It was long enough to hold 4 dolls, complete dolls. And I cut it in half, so there's 2 and 2 now. And it helps to get more dolls sealed. I'm just starting on the limbs. I don't know why, I just am. It doesn't matter where you start. If you're doing 4 whole dolls, it doesn't even matter if you're doing them together. And it doesn't matter if you're baking them together. If your doll is sort of big, you're going to have trouble getting the whole doll in the oven, so you can put a couple of smaller doll pieces in there with it. It doesn't matter. They don't have to bake together. And it'll help you get the bakes done quicker, especially since you have to turn them over. Usually when you're baking your doll for coats of paint, you can turn it in a way that they'll just work in. But when you have to turn them over, they don't always work in so well. Make sure you're getting between the fingers. Sometimes it's hard to do that with a sponge. Keep you a little throwaway paintbrush ready, because sometimes up in the nostrils, inside the mouth, there could be several places that you may have to use a throwaway paintbrush. That's why I buy them. I buy them to use on things like this. I'll move these jars down so I don't usually use the far reaches of my drying rack down there, so I don't usually have to worry about if it's going to touch anything. But this time I'm going to have to. I think this is little Ever's arm. So little and cute. Yep, it's Ever. I can usually tell the limbs that go with which kit. I don't know why, I just can. It's just something my eye catches. My friend is still astonished that I can just look at the kit without looking at the name and tell her who the kit is. I think almost everybody that makes dolls can do that. She doesn't look at the kits that much. She'll just see kits she likes, and it doesn't matter if they're Bountiful Baby or not Bountiful Baby. She's going to buy them if she likes them. And she might not even know the name of the kit. She doesn't want to really bother to learn anything like that. I didn't try to learn it. It just stuck in my head. I go, that's so-and-so, such and such doll. People are always posting dolls. Does anybody know the name of this doll? Sometimes I know it, sometimes I don't. If it's Bountiful Baby, I'm going to know it. Sorry, I got to stand up to put this on the drying rack. It's a little far away from me there. And this is Skaya's. The newer dolls, I might not know their limbs very well, but usually I can tell, like, those are so-and-so's limbs and those are such and such doll's limbs, just by looking at them usually. I can tell Darren's limbs and several of them. A hair. This is one of the times where if you have a hair on your doll, pick it off. Because if you don't, it's going to seal down to the doll. And you won't like it when you're painting and you can't get the hair off. You're going to want it off, and you won't be able to get it off. Now, when you're painting with heat set, I know air dry is totally different, but when you're actually painting your doll with heat set, if there's a hair on it, it doesn't even matter. It's going to fall off in the oven or something, or right after it comes out of the oven, or at the very least, you just brush it off like that. You don't want to brush it while you've got wet paint on the doll. You might brush some of the paint off. So just ignore it until you get to that point where it's coming out of the oven. There's another hair. Sometimes your sealer or your sponge or something will have hairs, especially if you root on your painting table. I highly recommend that you do not, because hair is just so staticky. It sticks to freaking everything. And you will be so sorry that is now sticking to your doll. And you won't like it. I am so incredibly thirsty. I don't know why I sit down at my table without something to drink, but I invariably do it. I don't feel thirsty when I first sit down, but after talking for a little bit, I start to feel really, really thirsty. And yeah. After I finish this leg, I'm going to have to run grab me a bottle of water. It's just around the other side of this cabinet in the hallway. It's where we put our case of water against the wall. We have such a tiny apartment that we can't really fit everything in a place where it would logically go. So we have to take functionality over beauty. We got to store everything in here. Since we only get paid once a month, we shop for the whole month usually. And we have a lot of stuff that comes into our house all at one time because, well, we don't know when we're going to get more money. And usually after we've bought all the food, paid all the bills, and all that, we're broke. I sometimes have a little left over to spend on dolls. Oh, and if I do sell a doll, I have that money. I sold a doll last night, so that was good. They do sell. Now, you may not be selling them as fast as you want to, but they do sell. A lady asked me to help her price her dolls. Her dolls are phenomenally beautiful, and I told her her price was good, but you know, that's not the only factor that's going to sell your dolls is the price. Sometimes your dolls will sell because they're just beautiful, and sometimes they sell because you're a well-known artist and somebody who wants a doll is going to come back to you because they bought one from you before. Once you get established a little bit, your dolls are going to sell better. I made a crucial mistake in my career of pricing dolls, and I'm going to cover it in this video so that y'all won't make the same mistake. I firmly believe this. Once you've set your price on your doll, you should not go down. If you're gonna go down, go to another site or something. Wherever you're selling your dolls at, let's say it's reborns.com, and you're using just your name as your username. Go to another site, use a username that's totally different from your name, and put your cheaper dolls there. And because people you get a reputation as the person who will always go down. Oh, she goes down, you know. I have a bunch of followers, but early in my career, I went down. I'm just using these figures as an example. This in no way means I sold dolls for this price. But let's say your very first doll, it's not very good, and you price it at $80. And somebody offers you $50. Boom, you sell it because you want to sell dolls. And then they go, well, she went down $30 whole. Wow, I'm coming back to her when I'm ready to buy another doll. And here they come. Can I have this one for $50 too? And then all of a sudden people are asking, can they have them for $35? I mean, that's just an example. I didn't really sell dolls for that price, but I recommend to people who ask me, give your doll a good hard look. blatantly honest with yourself. What is this doll really worth? Look at other people's dolls that look about the same quality as yours. What are they asking for theirs? And think about it. Here's some questions to ask yourself. What if this doll doesn't sell? I'm going to have to keep it in my house until it does sell. How well do I like this doll in order to do that? Am I going to want to hold it for 6 to 8 months or a year until it sells for the price I have on it right now? Or in reality, is it probably worth a lot less, and that's just what I'd like to get for it? Because if you're honest with yourself, you're going to be better at pricing your dolls. Your dolls should reflect their quality. Yes, we all work very hard on our dolls, very hard. One of the important rules that most artists accept is 3 times what it costs to make it. And that's if it has hair. More experienced artists will tell you if it has hair, rooted hair, even if it's not all that good rooted hair, it's worth $500. Well, okay, it's worth whatever somebody will pay for it. It's what it's really worth. Now, they classify them as a sellable doll and a not sellable doll. A sellable doll means it's not just ugly and gross and off color and chalky and smeary and shiny, and it's not a lot of things that some people's dolls really actually are. I mean, I'm not trying to insult anyone's work, but I got to get something to drink. Y'all hold a minute. You can look at my junk back here while I'm gone. Me getting water. It's not noise, it's just me getting water. So you should look at the baby's hair. How good is the hair? Is it real pluggy and ugly, or is it really nice and smooth? Does it complement the baby's face, or does it take away from the baby's face? You know, the paint job. Is it uniform and even? Is it splotchy? I mean, be honest. You're the one that needs to be honest with yourself. And once you've determined, okay, I think it looks really good. It looks as good as this ex-artist that I found on there who does work similar to mine. She's asking $500 for her dolls. I'm going to ask $500 for my dolls. I'm not saying that every single price should be set in stone and you should never have a sale or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying people will contact you. Everybody wants a bargain. People will contact you and say, oh, I have this sob story and this, that, and this, and that, and blah, 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 and will you give it to me for this price? And you might feel charitable and want to do it, but you're building a reputation when you do it. That's my opinion only. Of course, you can do whatever you want. It's your craft, your art, your doll. But if you have that reputation of being the person who will always go down, I'm trying to break away from that now. I did go down. I go, $250, $200 is not bad. You know, whatever I was asking, I consider in my mind, and I took offers. You know, on eBay, you can program in offers where they can give you an offer. And you can have it programmed where it'll automatically accept an offer if it's within your price range. But everybody wants a bargain. And then you're going, well, if I'm going to program that in, I might as well, you know, just make it that price. And then you go down. And this is the thought processes I went through. And then next thing you know, you're going, I could take a little less. I want to sell them. I need the money. I need a cash flow. And if you're going to have a sale where you go down temporarily, I recommend it be very short. 24 to 48 hours at the most. And just a smallish sale, not half price or something. Now, my thoughts are this. Yes, you can get something for that doll, even if it hasn't sold in 2 years. If you go down, yes, you will be able to get something for it. But once again, you're building a reputation as the person who will go down. There is an alternative. Either sell your doll on another site under a different name where people don't know you're doing that because you need a cash flow and you want to sell that doll and you've had it for 2 years and you're tired of looking at it in your doll room. Or donate it. That's a great cause. People in great need are people in nursing homes. They're in great need of a doll, and it's a charitable thing. You can still take a tax deduction. If you're selling dolls on the regular, you're going to get a 1099 in the mail, and you're going to need to pay tax, and you're going to have to keep up with your expenses and all that. A donation of a doll means that much you don't have to pay tax on, and it's such a good cause. Especially if you have a boo-boo doll. They don't care that it's a boo-boo. They don't care if it has any hair at all. They don't care any of those special features you put on it. They don't care. And if you have a doll that just didn't come out right, and I quit stripping. I did, because it's so much work and it sometimes ruins the doll. And so I just donate now. If the doll didn't come out right and I don't think it's going to sell for any sort of a price at all, decent price at all, I just donated. And on my website right now, I'm still reducing dolls because I'm known as the lady that goes down. I'm just telling you. I have dolls that are super cheap. I have dolls that are mediocre cheap. And I have dolls at the price I want to sell them for. I currently sell most of my dolls in the $300 range. Yes, you can probably get $500 if you want to wait that long. I don't. And even though I think my dolls are worth much more than that, I'm not sure other people do. There's been a shift in attitudes about reborn dolls, I think, in the past few years, ever since COVID. They're just not going for what they used to. You used to get a lot more for them. And I'm not saying that you'll never get a high price for a doll. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's a hard road being a new artist and trying to put the exact right price on your doll. It's very, very hard. And but only you know what you want for that doll, what you're willing to part with it for. You know what you put into it. You know the trouble and agony you sweated over that doll with. You know the cost. You know everything. And there's a price that in my mind, on some of my dolls, the really, 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 really pretty ones, I'm going, if I can't get my special price for this doll, I'll freaking keep it. I'd rather keep the doll than sell it for any less than this X price I'm thinking of. And I know it sounds ridiculous sometimes that you'd rather keep it, but I like the sculpt and I like the job I did on it, and I like the hair and I like everything about it. So I'm going, okay, I'll sell it for this price and not a penny under that. And then there's other dolls that there's no way I would ever keep that doll. I don't like it. I never liked it. I made it just for selling, and I don't want it in my collection. If it doesn't sell for X price, I'll go down to Y price and Z price, and then if it still doesn't sell, I'm going to donate it. That's what I usually do, but like I said, I've had people insult me with ridiculous prices. Oh, you'll go down to 150? Will you go down to 50? It's just ridiculous. I'm going backwards if I go down to 50. They don't get it. They don't care. That's what it is. They don't care. They don't care that you're losing money. As long as they're getting a bargain, that's all they care about. And some of the dolls, I go, you know what? If I really think somebody, and it takes a lot for me to think this, if I really, really think that somebody is desperate for a doll because they're depressed or something and they can't afford it, I'd be willing to give it to them. But you know what? A lot of it is just sob stories to get you to go down. People are tricky and all that stuff. I'm not saying I don't ever believe anybody, and I have given dolls away before, but you don't want to make a habit of giving all your dolls away. People have actually asked me, will you send me that doll for free? Will you pay the postage and let me just give you X amount of dollars even? No, I won't. They want it to be whatever your asking price is, and that's the total they pay. They don't pay any shipping, they don't pay any tax, they don't pay any sort of other add-on fees. None. You're going to pay it for them. That's what they want. No, I'm not doing that. I'm already not going to make anything. I'm just going to break even on this doll. And if I do that, I'm moving backwards. Huh. And they act like, well, you're being ridiculous. That's all I can afford. Well, then you don't need my doll. If that's all you can afford. You want to buy somebody else's boo-boo doll or something. I mean, that sounds harsh, I know, but you have to get harsh sometimes because people will use and use and use you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I still have 6 limbs. And I have a doll on this other rack already. Yep, I do. And it doesn't have the tall pegs. I took them off because they're up on the shelf and it wouldn't fit up there with the tall pegs on it. So I've only got the 8 smaller pegs, and I've got 4 limbs on there already. So that means I can only get 4 limbs on there from here. That means some of these limbs are going to have to wait. Or I have to take that doll off, one or the other. Maybe I'll take the doll off. What do y'all think? I'm almost positive I'm putting too much sealer on this doll. It is looking pretty funny. Let me see. Let me see what I can do to get this doll. I have started dolls and not finished them for such a long time that I just leave them and leave them and leave them on my drying rack. Sometimes I put them up there to get them out of the way, and sometimes I put them up there because I don't want to work on them right now. I want to start a different doll. It's usually the dolls I'm doing off camera. For every doll I do on camera, I do 1 or 2 off camera. Because I would just constantly never be done downloading videos if I did every single doll on camera. I just can't do it. I have to go slower. I have to take the time in between each step to download a video. It's just a process. And even though I want to record and share with y'all everything I do, I simply cannot do it. It is just too hard. And I wish I had a better camera. I don't know if I had an actual webcam, if it would make any difference. I used to have somebody who edited my videos for me, but they cut too much out. I didn't like that they cut too much out. He deemed himself an expert on stuff like that, and he said, oh, nobody wants to watch that much video. I said, well, other people's videos are that long. Yeah, they get tired of watching it and they go off of it. So he'd cut a lot of it out. He'd make my 1-hour video be 20 minutes. And I said, this is an instructional video and you cut out all the instructions. How does anybody follow that? Anyway, he just kept doing it. Anyway, he said it wouldn't make any difference. A camera is a camera, and it wouldn't make any difference if you had one that was actually a webcam and not just the camera built into your laptop or your tablet or something. Some people use their phones. I've heard them say, oh, my phone is crooked or something like that when they're recording. So I know they're using their phones, but I use my iPad because all my other tablets and or phones or cameras or whatever just do not record well. They don't look good when you try to look at them online. I've actually made videos with them. I mean, they weren't serious videos. I just sat there and talked to make a test, you know. And the picture quality was just poor. So I used this one. It's a little better. And I have to keep getting up to put these on the drying rack. Sorry. I can't reach them from a sitting position. It's too high up. It's almost above my head. It's not quite above my head, but I'll let these dry for a while on the table, and maybe later tonight. It's really quite warm for January weather. I live in Tennessee, which is considered a southern state, even though it's sort of in the middle of the United States. They call it Mid-South. But anyway, it's in the 60s here, and that's unusual. Our winters are usually not that cold. They're kind of mild, but not this mild. You can actually go out with short sleeves on and everything, but I'm usually cold, so I'm wearing a sweatshirt. Two more limbs, and then I'll be ready for the heads, and I'll have 4 dolls ready to go and be baked. It's not that I don't have dolls that are sealed. I have several dolls that are sealed, but I don't want to do them. It's like they're a repeat of a doll I already have on the shelf, or I'm just tired of looking at that doll. I don't know. I have about 8. I'm going to have to get to Harper one of these days. He's a torso doll. I dislike doing torsos, but somehow I think I once had this experience with Maddox. I didn't make his torso. I got rid of it, and I had him up for sale, and he was a nice looking Maddox too. He looked real nice, but he didn't have a torso, and nobody ever cared before. I never ever had anybody question, does he have a torso or not? I always put down in the description, but you'd be surprised how many people don't even read those descriptions. They'll ask you questions that are clearly covered in the description. And you want to say, did you read the description at all? But you don't say that because you don't want to be rude. But she said, oh, does he have a torso? And I said, no. And she said, oh, too bad. Like she would have bought him if he had one. And so ever since then, I usually make the torso. Sometimes I don't put it on, though. It is murder trying to get those torsos on those dolls. The body just won't stretch that much. And I hate the torso. The body still sticks out. It looks terrible to me. It doesn't look any more terrible, I don't guess, than a belly plate would, because you just lay those on. And this one wouldn't need to be laid on because it snaps. Well, it doesn't snap. It would be better if it snapped. If it was a front and back piece and they snap together, but they're not. They are solid, round, like a barrel. And you fit the doll body down inside of there, and then you have to stuff it from it being inside that torso. It's hard to do. And then you have to get the arms and legs on. Back when Bountiful Babies' bodies did not have those little pockets on them, I would stuff it from a leg because it was easier that way. Because the arms and legs are easier to put on with a torso than the head is. So now you have to stuff it from the head, or you have to order a special body from some other company. And I have all these Bountiful Baby bodies already, and most of the time I like them better than any other body. But there are those times when you would just long to have a body that you didn't have to squeeze into those torsos. But I would put the head and the arms and one leg on, and then I would stuff the body from the torso through the leg hole, and it would just come out real good. And now we're ready to do the heads. This is the part you have to be so particular about. You have to get it all up in their nose, and if their mouth is open, you got to get it inside their mouth. You have to get it in their ears, behind their ears, but you don't want to build up in any of those places. Built up sealer looks very terrible. It looks chalky and thick, and it won't stop looking like that. I should have stuffed these heads first, but I didn't. I could still stuff this head, but once they're dry, you're not going to want to have to stuff them. They never are really dry, if you know what I mean. They are more like gooey dry. I guess if you left them long enough, they would finally dry out. But I've not, in many years, had a dry doll to put in the oven because the sealer just doesn't get that dry, really. It gets chalky white, which you'll see if I come back to and show you before I put them in the oven. You'll see that. But see, pieces of my sponge are now coming off. I sure hate to get a sponge this late in the game. If another piece comes off, I will. I sort of scrunched it to get it in her ear, so that's why it did that, I'm sure. And you want to make sure inside the ears that you're lightly dabbing as well to get out some of that excess that might be in there. And you want it to be very covered, and no missing spots, because that's going to show when you're making your doll. That's where you get those little funny colors on the face that we're trying to cover up with scratches and stuff. It'll either be darker or lighter depending on if you got a buildup in that spot or if you got a little portion that didn't get any. I'm going to get a new sponge. I just don't want to use this one anymore. I got to get rid of some of these boxes. I've got stuff all along the sides where my chair should be rolling. Boxes with stuff in it. Mary's a cute kit. I made 2 Marys before and they both sold. Some kits just sell really good. I think it's because they're new. Because people are looking for something different. They're going, oh yeah, I've seen Rebecca 100 times and Anna and Priscilla, and they're older dolls that have been around forever and a day. And then a new doll comes on the scene, and Michael is super popular right now. I'm on my 4th or 5th Michael. I can't remember which one. And they always sell. I just finished a Michael and posted him. And people are la-la for Michael right now. But it'll fall off like everything else. All the dolls are not as popular as some of the dolls. Some of them are just extremely, extremely cute. I love Evelyn. Zuri. Evelyn's an older kid. Zuri now is an older kid, but I remember when she came out, they don't always release those dolls right after they photograph those babies. Sometimes when you read in the description, you'll notice that they've photographed this baby a couple years ago, and they're just now coming out with the doll. So they save them, I think, to release when they think is the best opportunity for people to want to grab up new dolls. I guess. I don't know. I don't know how they determine that. Just bending the sponge every way you can to make sure the inside of the ear is done. We'll do it over here as well. Just bending it around in there. It's soaked with lots of... Another thing you want to do, after you've pounced on all your sealer, is you want to lightly pounce to take out, if you're pouncing real hard, you're going to get some little square shapes on your doll. I don't tear this one because it just encourages little crumbs to stick to your doll. So you're going to need to be a little more careful about the way you pounce your doll. After you've pounced it hard, you're going to need to pounce it easy. And that easy pouncing will take out some of that, those square shapes you're getting on your doll. I'm going to use this to put a little up her nose because I don't think any got up there. Now, if you're getting too much up her nose, you can use a Q-tip to get some of it out. And that's what I do. I just twirl it around in there real easy. You don't want to push real hard, you'll take it all out. But we don't want big clumps inside their nose, because when you start to try to paint it, it's going to look like boogers. We don't want boogers on our baby. Okay, there's Mary. I love the Lucy sculpt. I'm going to stuff these dolls. Makes it easier when you're ready to put them in the oven if they're already stuffed. I'll have to stuff those other two before they go in the oven, but I always stuff my dolls because they will collapse and they will get a fissure in their head. I've noticed that it happens more often than not. So you don't want to put a lot in there. You just want to put the right amount. Keep telling yourself in your head, polyfill swells. All you want to do is keep the head from collapsing. You don't want it tight because you need to give it room to swell. And that's what we're doing. I'm just putting some in there. So if the head starts to collapse, there's something that's not enough. There's something pushing back. We don't want it to be real tight though. That would be counterproductive if you split the head open. That's pretty good. You want it to still squish pretty good, but if it started to collapse, there's something in there to keep it from collapsing. That's what we're after. I've got to wet my mouth. It's just like sandpaper. There, that's better. It doesn't give you as much room to put your finger inside the doll's head to hold on to it. It's a little easier to hold on to if you have a couple fingers inside and just like your thumb on the rim. If you're just trying to really hold it by the rim, you might, if you're not real good at it, you're going to drop that head a few times. Be sure you're over your table when you drop it so you don't drop it on something crummy or some spilled glass beads or something on the floor and it gets stuck all over your doll. Then you have to clean off all the sealer to get all that off of it and start again. Now on these dolls, they have a lot of wrinkles on their face. If you don't get it down in those wrinkles, they're going to be a different color from the rest of the doll. Now, anybody that wants their wrinkles a different color usually wants them darker. And if they don't have any sealer in them, they're going to be lighter usually. Because the sealer really takes the paint. And it makes the paint count for more. You don't have to put as much paint on your doll because it's got sealer on it. And there won't be any spots where I used to have spots on my doll that just wouldn't color. There was no rhyme or reason why they wouldn't color. They just wouldn't color. And I don't have that anymore since I put sealer on them. It covers evenly. It colors evenly, rather. I noticed on a few dolls it was the back of the leg or a portion of a toe or one side of the arm. It just wouldn't color. I don't care what you did, it wouldn't take the color right. And it would just look funny. And I know I've told this story a billion times, but I'm going to tell it again. I one time decided I was sealing at the end then. And I had already sealed the doll. And I go, I'm just really disturbed about that spot. I'm going to try to color. And what happened? It colored. It finally colored, but it was after I put the sealer on and baked the sealer on. And I just thought, maybe I'll just dot a little paint on top of the sealer and see what happens. And well, what do you know, it colored. And so that's when I decided I'm going to start sealing a few dolls and see if it makes any difference. Boy, did it. It makes a big difference. If you don't believe me, get 2 kits. Now, if you're going to get 2 different colored kits, you're not going to have any kind of results you can follow. I'd get 2 of the same kit, 2 Evers or 2 whatever dolls, and paint one without sealing it, paint the other one with sealing, and see if you don't agree. The one with sealer looks better. There we go, Ever. If you're putting polyfill in your doll, make sure you're wiping them off, that no polyfill stuck to them, because that'll seal down too, just like hairs will. And any crumbs that you get on your doll will also seal down. Ever is such an adorable baby. She is just adorable. And I just can't get any sealer into her mouth with the sponge. The goal here is just to get some in there. You don't have to get a whole lot. It is inside of her mouth. And if it's not super smooth, I don't think you're going to notice it. Her mouth is so hard to get open in the first place. I'm also going to just swirl a little dot of sealer in her nose. And then we're just going to start sealing her. I usually put a big blob on them like that. I don't know why, I just do, and then I go and get some of it and spread it around. Make sure you're getting the backs of those ears and behind those ears. That's a place where a lot of people miss coloring their doll a lot. I've seen people opening their box openings. People film that, believe it or not. And they put it on the internet, and they'll say, oh, this baby doesn't have any color behind its ears, because they didn't think of that. Some people don't think it matters. It's not noticeable. That's what they think, but ask a collector. They'll tell you it matters. Some people will return the doll because of it. I saw a lady open a doll, and I swear I could not tell at all that there was any paint missing on that doll. It was gorgeous. But she said it was lighter, but which a lot of things you can't see online because, well, it's online, you know. Camera changes everything, especially between different cameras. One person might see purple when another person sees blue. So you can't tell everything from a camera. So she said it was lighter, so okay, it was lighter. But that doll was super gorgeous to me, and she sent it back because there was she said there was a little paint missing behind the ears. Now, I don't know what she paid for it. She could have paid $1,000. Who knows? And at that price, I'd send it back too if it had something missing. But, you know, they're your average, everyday baby doll. I always advertise in my listings that dolls are going to have flaws. They're tiny. You usually don't notice them. It's part of the artistic process. Now, if they become super noticeable, then they should be discounted. That's my opinion. It's a boo-boo or something, whatever. And you point out the flaws. Just be super honest about your flaws. People will still buy dolls with flaws. Yes, they expect them to be cheaper than your what we call perfect babies. Not that I ever think a doll can be perfect. No doll is going to be perfect. If you think it's perfect, I guarantee there's 10 people that thinks it's not. And not only that, there's 10 other people who think something else. It's just a matter of people's preferences. It's a preference. Some people's going to say, well, that doll has brown hair. It should have had blonde. That's a flaw. Or other people are going to say, oh, I think those eyes just do not complement that doll. They look too starry, or they're too glassy looking, or whatever their complaint is. There's going to be people who like your doll, and there's going to be people who don't like your doll. And it's nothing personal to you. It's just their opinion. And that's the way I chalk it up, you know. I've had people ask me 20 questions about a doll in the middle of the night now. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and they're messaging you, how much does that doll weigh? It's in the listing. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I've told somebody that before. Oh, I'm a night owl, so how much does it weigh? 5 pounds. Okay. What color are the eyes? I can't tell. They're blue. Okay. can I have pictures of the back of the head so I can see how the hair looks? Snap, snap, you send them the pictures. Then they ghost you. You don't hear from them anymore. They kept you up an hour asking you questions and having you taking pictures. And then you never hear from them again. But it's part of doing business. You have to be congenial to everybody. You treat them like they are a customer or they will never be a customer. I don't care if it is 3 o'clock in the morning. People want immediate responses. I know I did when I was looking for a doll. If I asked a question and they didn't answer, well, I just moved on to the next doll because I was looking for a doll. I was actively looking for a doll to buy at that moment. I wasn't going to wait 3 days for their answer. And then they'd come back with the answer and I'd go, "Oop, too late. I done bought another doll." I mean, I was, I guess, brutal. I don't know. But that's the way I did it. I didn't want to wait. I did not want to wait. What I would do is I'd go through and I'd mark dolls that I liked that were in my price range, of course. If they were out of my price range, I didn't even bother because there's no way I'm getting that doll. It's too much, you know. I'd try to get, if I had, I don't know, a goodly sum, I'd try to get a couple bargain price dolls and a couple of, at least one nice doll. If I couldn't find a nice doll, well, I'd just get 2 or 3 bargain dolls instead. But I'd mark all the dolls I liked, and then I'd go through and go, I got to eliminate one. Which one will I eliminate? It's easier that way than going, I can only put one on the list. You know, if you're looking at 5 dolls and you're going, I have to eliminate one, it's like a rule or something. One must be eliminated. You just pick the one you like the least and you eliminate it. And then I'd wait a few hours and think about it, and I'd be watching TV or something. I'd go back and I'd look at it again. I'd go, I'm going to try to eliminate another one. Sometimes I couldn't do it right away. I'd have to wait another hour or so while I thought about it. And then I'd go back and I'd eliminate another one. And then I just kept doing that till I got down to 2. And I'd go, okay, now it's a matter of which one do I like the best? Which one's better, this one or that one? And I'd really, really look at all, I'd go through all their pictures, I'd read their descriptions again, and I was rarely disappointed when I got the doll because I liked doing it that way. And I'm not going to say I never was disappointed because I was, but it was rare that I was, and that was when I was buying dolls. And then I went through a lot when I was learning to make dolls. It's a learning curve for sure. And all you people who are new, don't give up. It is worth it when you get there, and you will get there. It's not real creative. It's mostly learning what colors, what order, how dark to make the color. It's just a process. You just have to learn those things. It's not that much artistic. It's like, do this step, now do this step, now do this step. I call it a method. You get a method that you can follow, a process or a method or something, and you follow your method. It took me a long time to develop my method because I was just putting on colors willy-nilly. I was going, I think I need some more 05 on that doll, and I'd put it on out of order. And I was writing it down on a piece of paper. Step 1, I put 1 coat of 05 on it. Step 2, I put warm blush. Step 3, decided I needed more 05, put another coat, and I'd see how the doll would come out. And then I would change it the next time. Well, I'm not going to put the 05 on afterwards. I'm going to put them both on at the same time. And I'd do that for a while. And just little changes like that, you know, different little changes. Oh, I don't like that I put blue in that spot. I'm going to quit doing that and put it in this spot instead. It's just choices. A lot of trial and error, let's put it that way. But that's why I make videos. I want people to see you don't have to go through that. You can follow a process that's already been predetermined and tweak it a little at a time to what you want it to be that way. It's much easier than doing it on your own. Back when I first started, people were just wildly doing any old thing. It was just anything goes, and some of it was really, really weird. And so you didn't know what to follow. So I just decided not to follow anyone, to figure it out for myself, which is a hard road, let me tell you. I can't even tell you how many dolls I did that way. It was very weird. And then I'd say 2 years ago, maybe it was 3, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, I started rooting dolls. And that was another learning curve, let me tell you. It is brutal at first. The first doll I rooted, oh my goodness, you can't even know how long it took and how bad it looked when I was finished. It was horrible. And I broke so many needles and punched myself in the finger. Those needles are big and they're sharp. They're big for poking your fingers, let's put it that way. They're nothing like tiny little needles a doctor would poke you with. These needles look very small when you look at them, but when you're sticking your finger with them, they feel like they're barrel size. They're huge. They hurt. They're super sharp. And you will bleed for a while. I'd have all these Band-Aids wrapped around my fingers and trying to hold a needle and root at the same time. It was laughable. It literally laughable. And it wasn't easy at all. And I finally got it. It just starts to click. Your hand knows how to hold the needle. You know how to turn the head. It just clicks. And you're just doing everything right then. And you're not breaking but maybe 2 needles on a doll. Now I can do multiple dolls with the same needle. Multiple. Yes, you bend needles still, even when you're experienced. And once they bend, if you continue to use them long enough, they will break. That's just a fact. But it's much, much easier once you get the hang of it. And it's something that I like to compare to wearing bifocals. It's something you train yourself to do it. You just learn it. Your hands just learn what to do. You just learn it. And it was similar to when I first started wearing bifocals, and the doctor said, oh, I know it looks funny now and you feel like you're going to fall down every time you are about to look down at the floor. But he said, make sure you turn your head down like this instead of looking down with your eyes, because you're looking through the bifocal and it's going to be distorted. And he said, eventually your eyes are going to train themselves. I thought, that's not going to happen. But it did. My eyes just trained themselves as to where to look out of the glasses. And now I can't even tell I have bifocals. It's weird. But it's like that with rooting a doll, too. Your hands are just going to train themselves. You just have to give it time and keep at it. And I do not recommend that people jump right into rooting dolls and trying to mono root. Your first goal is, can I even get hair to go in the head? It is a challenge at first. And if you're not super plugging it, the next layer covers up the first layer and you don't see the plugginess of it anyway, unless you're trying for that super sparse hair, which I hate anyway. Nobody can pull it off good. I've not seen too many dolls that really look good that way. They just look like their hair's falling out from chemo or something. That's the way they look to me. Now, if you're just super, super experienced and exquisitely good at it, you might can pull it off somewhat to where you have a doll that looks like real baby hair. But not very many people can do it. I've even seen some of the so-called expert artists not be able to do it. And I've had people comment on my hair over and over again how they liked it so much. And so I ain't worried about it. I ain't worried about mono rooting or even micro rooting. Micro rooting's mono rooting is one hair exactly to every hole. Mono rooting is just maybe 2 or 3 hairs in a hole. It's just, micro rooting is like, you'd have to have a microscope or something, or maybe a magnifying glass to be able to see that there's more than one hair in a hole. It's just very few hairs in each hole. But I don't worry about that. I use a needle that has 9 barbs on it, 3 on each side. And my dolls, I think they look good. And a lot of people have actually put into my feedback how they love the hair. So I ain't worried. Like I said, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about mono rooting or micro rooting or any of that crap. I just root the dolls. And yes, I guess if I want to be a prototype artist, I'll have to learn to mono root. But I don't think I ever want to try to do that. I just don't think I want to. I like my craft to be relaxed, easy, and fun. I don't want it to be complicated, difficult, and cause me anguish. So, am I going there? Probably not. I'm going to just do what I like, and that's what everybody needs to do, what they like. And if you like mono rooting, oh, be my guest. Go right on and do it. I personally will not be doing it with you. But anyway, back to the contest. I have some names on this paper which I don't feel comfortable sharing because people like their anonymity. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 names. So, if you haven't entered the contest, please enter. I love participation. And this is going to be a great contest. The box is good. I've never shown what was in the box before because I wanted it to be a surprise. But this one is not a surprise. You know what's in it. I've already made a video of it. You can see the stuff is useful and good. You can see that it's worth having. And you can have it if you follow all the instructions, and of course your name has to be drawn. I wanted to make sure that all the people who was going to have their name in the drawing actually participated. I don't think that's asking too much. That you have to do something to enter. I've had plenty of contests where all you had to say was "I want it," and I'd put your name in. And this one is requiring something because I need to get something out of it too. I'm spending hundreds of dollars on these boxes, literally. Almost all the things that was in that kit, that beginner kit. It's a $150 beginner kit. No, I paid $119 for the whole kit with a doll, but still it's a valuable kit, and almost everything in it went in that box, plus outfits. And I mean, you got a kit, you didn't get the kit that came with it because I wanted Autumn for myself. That's why I ordered that kit. And but there's a lot of good things in that box, a lot of good things. Exodus oil, Eileen's paper glaze, the tacky glue, super glue, paints, paint brushes. I mean, literally, it would start an artist out. It is enough stuff to get started. You might need some, well, there was the paint wells, the paint palette. I was going to say you might need something to mix paint in, but a lot of people use those paint wells. I don't use them. I like to close my paint up and save it. I'm too frugal to throw anything out. But there is a lot of stuff in there to be had, and it's good stuff. So I decided this time it was a better idea to actually show the thing so maybe people would want it, unlike the other boxes that were surprises. But anyway, I'm going to quit talking now. I'm just babbling on. So please remember to enter the contest, and please like, subscribe, and share as well. And happy reborning.